Hi, welcome to Movies Suck. Today, I wanted to have a look at this story in Bounding into Comics about Henry Cavill and his concerns about toxic fandom, as if such a thing really exists. Well, I guess you could call the pretend fans pretty goddamn toxic. I mean, there aren't very many real Star Wars fans left in the fan base, is there? Because we're all too toxic. Because we've hated the new crappy Disney films. So we're not allowed to be fans anymore because we're toxic. Jesus Christ, I hate these fucking people. Anyway, let's have a look at the story here, which is The Witcher and Superman actor Henry Cavill addresses concerns of toxic fandom. Now, I have to say I like Henry Cavill, not just because he's an Englishman, which is always good, even though he comes from Channel Islands, but nevertheless, it is good to see another Englishman expressing some real concerns about, well, let's say, not really the fans. Let's read what the story says. So, Witcher and Superman actor Henry Cavill recently discussed toxic fandom while promoting his upcoming Netflix show. In an interview with Jake's Takes, host Jake Hamilton asked Cavill quite a lengthy question about toxic fandom. This is a long question. I'll read it. It's kind of a waste of time. I could cut to the chase and say, oh, what do you think about toxic fans? But we'll read it and see exactly how he worded this question. There's something really interesting with this character that I find fascinating, which is that he genuinely does just want to do the right thing. But everywhere he goes, whether it's a new town or a new bar, people just kind of give him a hard time and they rag on him despite the fact that he has great intentions. I'm curious if that's comparable to this sort of world. This culture of toxic fandom where if you make a movie, especially if you make a superhero movie, you have great intentions, but there are always going to be a small yet vocal number of people that can kind of just be toxic. Is he for some reason talking about Star Wars? Like The Last Jedi or some crap like that? Of course he's talking about that, and it's not a minor, small number of people. This is not just a fandom menace, as if that's a small number. This is a very large number of Star Wars fans, dating back many, many years, who have come to the new trilogy and thought, what the hell? Did they not watch the previous films? Did they not give a shit about these characters? And this is just another example of that. Toxic fandom. There's no such thing as toxic fandom. There's fandom, and you make stuff that's good or you make stuff that's bad, or, regardless which way around it is, because some people are less discerning than others, the fans will love or hate it. And sometimes half the fans will love it, half the fans will hate it. But the fans that hate it are not toxic. They just don't agree with your vision of what you've made. This toxic fandom thing is just, it just sickens me that people try to put people in little boxes like this all the time. People are individuals. We live in an individualist society. We are not boxes. Admittedly, there are some aspects of our society who are trying to compartmentalize people and try and force them all into this opinion, that opinion. But that's not real life. Not unless you're just completely bloody insane or an SJW. But it says Henry Cavill was cool as a cucumber in his response. I understand what you are saying, but when it comes to fans, it's a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. Precisely. Thank you, Mr. Henry Cavill. It is your right to have an opinion, regardless of whether it's a good opinion, bad opinion, based in really good foundations and strong logic or not, because it's an opinion. You don't have to base it on anything as sensible as logic. It's just how you feel. Or, if it's based on logic, it's how you've deduced. But it's your opinion, and you can have whatever opinion you want. People have the opinion that your opinion's crap, but screw them. That's their opinion. It's really good to actually have a proper celebrity and a proper fan, because Henry Cavill's a real fan, actually saying things like this, putting it out in the open so that we can all admit, and hopefully the SJWs admit, that fans are fans, and opinions are opinions. A bad opinion or a good opinion, and a disappointed opinion, doesn't make you toxic. That's just a catchword, it's just bollocks. He continues, people are going to be upset, especially when you are talking about books or games, because you are never going to be the exact person who they had in their head, who they played in Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic, I just consider that passionate. And it's something that I obviously had to come to terms with over the years. Of course he did, he played Superman. And you love him, you hate him as Superman. It's a tough one. I personally liked him as Superman, and I'm really looking forward to him coming back for Man of Steel 2. I was never a fan of the original Man of Steel. They made him a killer, and that's just not Superman. That was just really wrong. Alright, that's done. I would still like to see Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill, because for the life of me, I cannot think of anyone else who could pull off Superman as well. I am slightly worried about the new Batman. I've forgotten the dude's name, that guy from Twilight. I'm slightly worried about that because of just his look and how he sounds and things, and I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a lot of Twilight fans out there going, yay, he's going to be Batman, woo! And fans of whatever the hell else he's made. I haven't really paid that much attention. He made Twilight, and that kind of put me off finding out anything else he made. I really need to fix that. I should watch something else that he made, whatever the guy's name is. What the hell is the guy's name? Oh, okay, I'm going to look this up very quickly just because I just cannot remember his name. What was his name? Oh yeah, Robert Pattinson, another Englishman. I mean, they say that they wanted to, or they were considering changing Henry Cavill for someone else who's a bit younger, or I guess younger looking is the Q word there. Because Henry Cavill isn't that much older. He really isn't. We've got born in 83 and born in 86. They're not too dissimilar ages. I mean, it's not like Ben Affleck, who's pretty damn ancient these days, but did okay as Batman. I won't get into that because I'll start getting ticked off. Henry Cavill he does appear to me to be a man's man, a proper man, one of those sort of men that actually worries about things like toxic masculinity, and not in the way that toxic masculinity actually exists, but in the way that people are treating it as if it's a real thing. I think that if it wasn't for Hollywood and trying to be a bit PC, we'd be getting some much more interesting opinions out of Mr. Henry Cavill. For instance, if we go over here, Henry Cavill apologizes for insensitive rape comments. I don't believe he actually apologized for the insensitiveness of it. It's really just the way the comment came out, because this is actually an interesting story. It says, Time magazine reports that actor Henry Cavill, sorry, I should also mention that this was last year, so it was July last year, so it was a while ago, but it's still relevant, I think, because of his opinion on toxic fandom. It says, Time magazine reports that actor Henry Cavill issued an apology for saying he's afraid of flirting with women because he's going to be called a rapist or something. Does this not harken back to the whole toxic masculinity thing and how men are being treated these days, and how we don't feel that you can even approach a woman because of how the Me Too movement has basically ruined people's lives, ruined men's lives, ruined women's lives really as well, because now you've got managers in businesses who are afraid to hire women or have meetings alone with women, which basically means that the whole mentoring thing is kind of out the window for women as far as male figures within business go. So I'm sure this has damaged women probably even more than it's damaged men. And it's pretty fucking damaging, but let's read a bit further. The 35-year-old actor drew criticism for his comments about Me Too movement in an interview with GQ Australia, and how he prefers a traditional approach to dating, where a woman is wooed and chased. Cavill added that the hashtag Me Too movement has changed how he approaches dating. It's very difficult to do that if there are certain rules in place, he told GQ. Because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I'm going to be called a rapist or something. So you're like, forget it. I'm just going to call next girlfriend instead and just go back to a relationship which never really worked. Because the Me Too movement has made it very hard to approach women in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're doing something wrong as a man. Because you're worried about it now. And in his position as a celebrity, it's even more worrying, because he's got a massive career that can be really smashed, as we've seen for a few other people, if people make accusations. Doesn't matter if those accusations have any basis in reality. Reality doesn't matter to the hashtag Me Too movement. What matters is appearances and what you can get away with. okay, sometimes it's really important to mention that it's done some really good things. Some things have been really good that have come out of this, but unfortunately, most of those came out at the start. As it's gone on, it's like, oh, he put his hand on my knee in 1986, and I've been traumatized ever since. So piss off. Stop this shit. Get on with your life. Be real. But anyway, I just came back to this because I just wanted to point out that Henry Cavill has form of being a real man and having concerns about these sorts of things. Because toxic fandom doesn't exist. We all know it doesn't exist. Henry Cavill knows it doesn't exist. He was really good about his answer, but what he really wanted to say is, that's bullshit, really. People just have opinions. That's how I feel. I would look forward to finding out a bit more about what Henry Cavill thinks about these sorts of things, and hopefully in the future, people will be able to speak out properly. Maybe we'll have a hashtag #MenToo. Who knows? This has been Movies Suck, signing out. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.